Hi, and thank you for joining us. We are now 2 days into the U.S.'s blockade on Iranian ports along the Strait of Hormuz, and there doesn't appear to be an end in sight. The White House is ramping up its pressure on Tehran to release control of the critical shipping choke point. Currently, the U.S. has more than 10,000 service members in the region enforcing the blockade. Pakistan is trying to bring both the U.S. and Iran back to the negotiating table for a second round of peace talks after this weekend's 21-hour marathon session ended without an agreement. The temporary 2-week ceasefire is set to expire 1 week from today. And today, Secretary of State Marco Rubio sat in on a rare meeting between Israeli and Lebanese officials in Washington. The two countries do not usually engage in direct talks. The last time they spoke in a diplomatic capacity directly was back in 1993. The White House is hoping to help end fighting between Israel and the Iranian proxy group Hezbollah in Lebanon. CBS News Pentagon reporter Eleanor Watson joins me now from Washington. So what's the latest on the U.S. blockade of the Strait?
Well, the U.S. military today said that in its first 24 hours, no ships from Iranian ports passed through the strait. Now, Iran had for much of the conflict essentially shut down traffic to the strait, except for vessels that were explicitly tied to Iran or were owned by countries friendly with Iran. This blockade is designed to cut off the oil revenue that Iran may be gaining from those transits and to encourage all other countries to resume traffic in the strait. During the initial phase of the conflict, maritime security firms estimated that compared to March of last year, when there were about 2,600 transits through the strait, it was down significantly this March to just about 140, with almost all of the ships that did make it through tied to Iran. If you break that down, that's about 5 ships per day. So a single day with 0 transits doesn't exactly establish a trend yet, but it's still very early in this new economic phase of the campaign.
And so it's not just to prevent Iran from being able to export its own oil or even charge tolls. It's also to say everybody else in the world, look, we're in control now. You guys can go through.
That's exactly right. And the Navy has established in the Gulf of Oman kind of what they're calling a net. About 10,000 U.S. forces, about a dozen warships are now, having already participated in the bombing part of this campaign, turning to this phase. And what's interesting there, Lindsay, is that all of those ships are equipped to communicate with other vessels. And according to the military, 6 vessels did turn around and go back to Iranian ports after the U.S. forces directed them to. If going forward, vessels don't heed that direction, those forces all have teams that can visit, board, and seize vessels. And if necessary, helicopters can go on board. We kind of saw that in the Caribbean against Venezuelan tankers during the economic pressure campaign there that President Trump is now trying again against Iran.
So this fragile 2-week ceasefire is set to expire next week. What does the next phase of the war look like if the strait doesn't reopen and a long-term deal isn't reached?
We're kind of back to where we were before the ceasefire was reached, with the strait still a problem for the global economy and with the objective of preventing Iran from ever getting a nuclear weapon still unfinished. Because at issue there is not only Iran's negotiations about enrichment, but the already 900 pounds of near bomb-grade uranium, or what President Trump calls nuclear dust, that is still buried deep inside Iran. On Face the Nation over the weekend, I think it's interesting, Senator Mark Warner, the Democrat vice chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, said that securing that material militarily could take around 10,000 U.S. forces. So that seizure, that securing of that material would certainly be more easily done through diplomatic negotiations.
Eleanor Watson, thank you.